إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد أما بعد. Our chief guest today, Your Excellency Jafar Hussain, the Ambassador of Indonesia, Mr. Azizul Hakim, the Third Secretary of High Commission of Malaysia, who represents our guest of honor, His Excellency the High Commissioner. Our guest speaker today, Sheikh Al-Hafil Arkam Nurani. He is the chairman of the Darul Hasanah Foundation and President of Hambantota Jamiatul Ulama. President, Secretary, and the key officials of the Board of Trustees, respected ulamas, representatives from Malay and other Islamic organizations, media personnel, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As the company mentioned, today, Wekande Masjid Jummah Masjid makes history by completing 232 years of its existence. As he mentioned, this masjid was established exactly 232 years on the 1st of Muharram, 1201, and if you take the English calendar, it is 225 years, which is one of the oldest masjid, not only in Slave Island, but also in Colombo and in Sri Lanka at large. This itself is a striking phenomena, an unbroken history of service to the Muslims in a non-Muslim country, but the circumstances surrounding to its foundation are no less remarkable. When we speak about the history of the Wekande Masjid, there are two Javanese noblemen. He mentioned the name, one being the donor of this masjid, Pandan Bali, and the other being the Khatib, the first Khatib, founder Khatib of this masjid, Khatib Nazeer Latiff. The land on which this mosque was built, purchased from Jainuddin Marika Senior Qasim by Pandan Bali. The extent of the land was at that time 1,383 square purchase and 48 square feet, and it was donated on 17th, if you take the English calendar, it was donated on 17th August 1786 to Nazeer Latiff, recipient of a long line of trees from Java for use as a mosque and a graveyard for Muslims. What was most remarkable about the building of the mosque, it was the Dutch time. The fact that the Dutch were the rulers of Ceylon at that time, and they were also the colonial rulers for the vast area of Indonesia and so on and so forth. Colonial rulers have always shown themselves intolerant of indigenous cultures and religions. Pandan Bali and the co-religionists therefore displayed considerable courage and boundless faith in their religion to have their planning of construction of a masjid and thereby propagate Islam in this country. Just as fortunate, the circumstance was the presence of Nazeer Latiff, who is a descendant from a long line of priests. He was the natural choice at that time to be entrusted with the building of the masjid and the performance of the priestly functions connected with the masjid. If I just give you a brief introduction to Pandan Bali. Actually, he is the donor of Pandan Bali. He was a wealthy civilian who came with the Malay military contingent that arrived with the Dutch at that time. He got married in Derwala and longing for a child, because there is a history for building this masjid. So when he was longing for a child, he made a vow that if he is blessed with a child, he wanted to put up a masjid in this area for the benefit of the Muslims. So his Hajat got Kabul and a baby girl was born. She was named Saria Umma. Also she was known as Palli Umma. In Tamil and Sinhala they call Palli means is the masjid. He fulfilled his vow by donating the land, the masjid, and for burial ground. He went back to Indonesia, but his wife and the family opted to stay in Sri Lanka. His daughter Saria Umma later got married to Alfaz Nazar, a Malay who was working in a Singapore ship who came to Sri Lanka. Currently, the descendants of Pandan Bali and his daughter, they are known with the surname Palli. We have our secretary Nilambi Palli, also belongs to the Palli family. If you look at the chief Khatib, Sabu Latif, and there's another, as he mentioned, compare, since the inception, the position of chief Khatib or the chief Imam is being held by the descendant of the first Khatib, Sabu Latif, and his relatives. So even as a custom, if you look at, there were Khatib from Sabu Latif family, and subsequently now Khatib, current Khatib is Muzni Amir, Maulavi Muzni Amir, and his grandfather is also related to the Khatib Sabu Latif family. And Khatib Sabu Latif came with his father in the year 1772, which is about 14 years prior to building this masjid. His father was Rajan Parmana Latif from Sunan Kasa, West Borneo, according to the history. Now this currently is known as Indonesia. Sabu Latif was married to a daughter of Arpus Kamaldeen, a captain of Malay regiment. And if you look at the line of Khatibs from Sabu Latif himself served for 53 years. After him, it was Chinnal Latif. He served this masjid for 50 years. Then Alpin Latif for 6 years. Fakir Bawa Latif for 3 years. Saiban Latif for 13 years. Then Nuruddin Taif Latif. Nuruddin Taif Latif was also officiating peace of the Masjid al-Akbar, according to history. He served here in the masjid for 50 years. After his retirement, after his demise, his son, Buhari Nuruddin Latif, functioned here as the Khatib for 28 years. After his demise, his son Sadiq Buhari Latif served for 12 years, and his Sadiq Buhari Latif's brother, Muhyiddin Buhari Latif, served this masjid for 20 years. After them, there were 9 Khatibs from the Latif family. After that, there was another Khatib who worked parallelly. He was assisting and acting during the time of Haji B.N. Latif, who was the Khatib of Wekande Masjid. So he was none other than Tajuddin Alinsa. He is widely known as Tajuddin Alinsa, the MTT Amir. He served this masjid for 50 years. After him, his son M. Faiz Amir, Malays in Sri Lanka, you know him. He is a registrar. He was a registrar of marriages as well. I think most of the generations before, most of their marriages I think were conducted by him. And after his retirement, his son Maulavi Muzni Amir Dini, he is working here as a Khatib for the past 30 years. When you look at masjid, now there's a wrong perception that this masjid is not merely a place for worship. A mosque is not just a place of worship, it is the focal point for Islamic activities. So the trustees found about 78 years back, around the masjid there are quite a lot of ancillary activities to give meaning and the purpose to the lives of the Muslims. So thus it came about that a madrasa was established here for Quran and Arabic studies in honor of the donor. That building was named, as I said, you know now the name of the donor, it was Pandan Bali Hall. Dean Yunus, one of our senior Khatibs at that time, one of the most energetic trustees at that time, went in very great interest in the masjid and sought out means to integrate the mosque into the life of the Muslims. He built a school hall named Dean Yunus Hall,